Hello and welcome to the only podcast where my nickname in high school was Maul Shadow Lord, but for very different reasons. I'm Matt.
I'm Luke.
And I'm Max.
This is ForceForThought, a shopping mall.
I was laughing because I forgot the order that we went in, and I almost said my name way too quick. I almost messed it up again. I do it every week. Hello.
Yes, and you're the only one.
And welcome back. Today we are discussing Maul Shadow Lord, Season 1, Episodes 9 and 10, Strange Allies and the Dark Lord. And I'm very excited to talk about it. I thought it was absolutely amazing. It's not that I don't have any notes, but they're all glowing. And right off the rip, I just want to say that I think this is some of the best action lightsaber sequences, fight, choreography, whatever you want to call it, in Star Wars ever. It was simply perfect. Again, no notes. I think that the lightsaber action really nailed it out of the park and was like the biggest highlight for me. There is one specific shot, and I saw it on IMDb as an image, so I'm glad that it was. So you can go there and look at it if you don't know what I'm talking about, where Daki, Devin, and Maul were fighting both Inquisitors, and every single one of their blades were touching each other at one point, and it was really quick. It was a blink and you miss it moment, but my God, was that satisfying to see! Just like all the pieces of a puzzle just lining up.
I was like, when I saw that shot, I was watching, and then I feel like the music cuts out for literally half a second, and then I feel like that half a second is there for a gasp. I feel like I was like, and then it continued.
Gasped.
Yeah. I did the same exact thing. I was like, this is one of the coolest things this show has done, and that is saying a lot, because every week we're like, this is one of the coolest things this show has done.
Yes, I was not going into Maul Shadow Lord with low expectations, but I certainly wasn't coming into it with the highest expectations. So this absolutely exceeded it. I think, to me, Maul Shadow Lord is one of the best Star Wars TV shows of all time. Matthew, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I 1000% concur. I think also, Max, to give you your flowers, you were correct. They changed the episode name, obviously, not just to finale. Ultimately, I think I'm surprised. Your only note, Max, that I feel like this could be is the fact that this is something where this feels like a bigger part of a bigger story, where it's like a 24 episode or 36 episode thing. So this feels interesting, because I feel like this is a lot of your complaint for things just in general.
Max
It's just
hates when
like
shows do this.
It does, and we know we're getting a second season, apparently, right? Like, that's the thing. But this obviously feels like we don't know what happens to Lawson. He walks off. Ultimately, so that's just, I was just thinking about how I'm like, oh, I wonder how Max perceived this ending of the show, because it's very unlike what you like, but I assume you liked it because it was great. It was just, I think that's something that Star Wars does so well, is that the things that you don't have any expectations for, like Maul. Again, Maul is a very cool character, but like, where's his story going to go? It's a maybe miniseries, maybe episode. It's one of those things where like, do we need more Maul? And the answer is apparently very much yes. And the same thing with Andor, where you're like, okay, Andor, my least favorite character in Rogue One, very much the best, right? And I feel like instantly within 10 episodes, this is shot up to like my second favorite show that Star Wars has ever made, which also, again, love the other shows, but like, what does that say about the other shows as well? That 10 episodes, like, wow, this really blows it out of the water, and this is the kind of content that we can have. I absolutely loved it, though. And to piggyback off of your one crazy moment that we talked about with all the lightsabers touching is when Maul's henchman just dove into acid. That was so brutal to see. I did not enjoy that. I was like, oh, he's like very much still alive.
I thought that was going to be a bigger moment, too, that they were going to really draw out. And it just happened pretty quickly. I mean, the henchman kind of seemingly in an instant just decided, like, yep, this is what I have to do. And then he just went for it. And I was like, oh, damn. But I did laugh to myself when they were exploring that underground area, and somebody commented on the stench or whatever, and they were like, oh, it's toxic acid. And then he purposefully threw in a little piece of garbage just so that you could see it dissolve. And I'm just like, okay, so that's definitely going to come into play in a second.
Yeah.
Luke, what did you think?
It was unbelievably good. The story is exactly what we expected it to be, and 99 out of 100 times, that would bother me, that it was so predictable. but they put such a distinct dramatic flair into everything, the art direction, the style, the choreography. It blew me away with how good you can make a story and not do anything daring story-wise. I loved it. It was such a good show. I am putting it right now tied with The Siege of Mandalore for my favorite animation in Star Wars. Honestly, it might be better, but I should rewatch The Siege of Mandalore before I say that. But it's so good. I was blown away.
Yeah.
Cannot say enough good things about it.
Siege of Mandalore is pretty good, but this show, I agree. It's up there. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to be able to say enough good things about it, but I do want to talk about it a little bit more. There's a lot of different elements that I want to talk as opposed to going through kind of the plot beat by beat, just because a lot of it is almost just one giant action sequence sprinkled in with a bunch of deaths. So I want to talk about those deaths, give each character their flowers or lack thereof, as well as talk about the finale. But Matthew, since you brought it up, I will talk about it. So yes, the ending, it was good. And it was, to Luke's point, exactly what I thought it was going to be. It helps that I'm going into this expecting there to be a season 2 before this show even started. So I was like, okay, I know for a fact this isn't going to end. If I didn't have that in my head already and they were just kind of dangling like, oh, will this be a miniseries? Will this be a season? We don't even know. I would be very frustrated by that ending because I was like, well, what the hell? Like, nothing got wrapped up. You introduced more plot points that I want to see now, and we have no plan moving forward. Luckily, that doesn't seem to be the case here. There seems to be a plan. They already announced season 2 is going to be happening. Now, yes, they backtrack a lot, so we'll see if they actually hold true to that, but I have faith that it will for a lot of different reasons, mostly because it's animation, and I feel like it's easier to produce that. Maybe not easier, but you know what I mean. More sure of a thing.
They typically haven't pulled the rug on animation like live action.
Correct. And so I really liked the ending with all of those things in mind, because I'm also down on the Acolyte for that same reason, but obviously that played out very differently. And I'm also kind of down on the season finale of Ahsoka. Overall, I like Ahsoka a lot, but I just didn't like where that ended because I felt like that show didn't have the kind of satisfying emotional conclusion that was commensurate with the quality of story left on the table. Because to me, when that show ended, I was like, okay, the biggest thing that they didn't talk about was like the only thing that I was kind of interested up until this point. And that's not really the case here. Obviously, I'm still very interested in how everything continues from here as they continue to work with Crimson Dawn and Maul presumably overthrowing the Crimson Dawn leader and installing Dryden Voss as some sort of shadow puppet underneath him. But also seeing how the other characters, the other living characters, also fit in to that puzzle as well. But without further ado, I do want to talk about some of the deaths because there was a lot of good ones, a lot of not bad, but just kind of underwhelming. Starting with what I was the most surprised by was my response to Spybot dying. He was like the first main one to go of the group. And when it happened, I was like, I was torn up about it because I really liked Spybot, even though he was not a good guy. He was one of Maul's crew, right? But I was like shocked that it happened. Yeah. But I had come to really be fond of Spybot. And when he died, I was sad. I gasped so many times when I was watching this. And I was watching it.
It doesn't help that he says master. I mean, he's the only one that actually gets to say something, I think is the thing, right? It's a good jumping off point.
That's true.
To be like, you really got to make that emotional. I mean, they know what they're doing, right? It's not the most emotional death in the show, or at least it shouldn't be, but yet they make it the most emotional in a weird way. It's like we all saw, again, spoiler, Daki dying, and I mean, we'll talk, but Lawson absolutely gets captured. But I think, yeah, Spybot is definitely the most emotional because they know how to kick things off, and then you just have expectations of sad going forward, and that absolutely happens.
Luke, what did you think of Spybot?
I hadn't considered that Lawson just got captured. So now I'm distracted thinking.
Are you serious?
Sorry, there's no way.
Yeah,
There's no way.
Right. I was just so
We'll jump forward
enthralled
to
with the
that.
story. Spybot, yeah, super sad. It was like the Inquisitor didn't have to do that. It was like a personal attack against Maul's feelings. let alone all the physical attacks against his body. Yeah, super sad, and I also really liked Spybot the whole time.
Merrick's voice is brutal and also just incredibly scary and through.
Both
I
of them
know.
are.
It's too much to ask because I ask so much of them, but I am really wanting to see Marok and Plague Doctor Inquisitor prequel series or comic or book or anything. Like, they were assumedly Jedi before, like, recently before, like 6 months before this.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd love to see more about them.
Yeah, it's simply too cool not to touch on.
Yeah, that shot of Daki turning around because he obviously sensed them behind him. And then that lead up to like, oh, they're about to walk right around this corner and it's going to be so badass, to that jump scare of them just sprinting around that corner at full strength. Again, I know I said I gasped a lot when I watched this, but that was another one.
They do something. They built in that feeling where there's a mission at hand, and that is hard enough. Let alone having this other thing. And you know, it's the same thing when you have like the throne room scene or something. Like, you can sense that everything's about to change, and you unexpectedly going to change right away. And yeah, I love it.
The Plague Doctor Inquisitor screech as he comes out in that moment also noteworthy. Very cool.
Yes.
Everything about that whole sequence, because the idea that they killed Spybot in that moment also made sense because he was kind of their only way out, and that entire fight was so claustrophobic. Like, I'm so used to seeing lightsaber battles in these huge open spaces where you have room to like flip around and, you know, roam a little bit, but that was like on such a tight little platform, and there was only 3 of them who were actually fighting, but they were actively trying to get away. And so it kept getting more and more claustrophobic as the battle went from 3-on-2 to 2-on-2 to 1-on-2. And then I'm like, oh my God, Maul, get out of there. And I'm very happy with the character development of Maul. I feel like they did a really good job over the last couple episodes and in the last 2, because especially during Strange Alliances, when they started to kind of team up with the good guys, I was like, okay, this is kind of what I wanted, you know, and I like it. But I was also kind of a little afraid that like they weren't going to make Maul evil, you know, like they might try to make him a little more nice, a little more friendly. But then when Daki died, it was a good reminder that I was like, oh yeah, okay, Maul's the worst. We don't like him. Because that scene too was... Yeah, I saw it coming. I knew Daki was going to die, and I knew that it was going to turn Devin to the dark side. So it's like, none of it was a surprise. Like Luke said, like everything was like exactly what you expected. They just did it so well. And having Maul literally just jump out of the way and then kind of give Daki that little forced push into Darth Vader was, very intense, heartbreaking. I had a lot of emotions. Gasped yet again.
Yep. Yeah, 1000%. The little force push and then the look they give each other, like they knew this was happening, but Maul built up enough trust with Daki the entire time that as the audience, we almost forget. But then also as Daki, again, you have an option, whether it's face someone alone off the jump and die, or trust somebody and hope they don't turn against you. And it's really a lose-lose situation when you're really thinking about it and looking back, right? And you're like, okay, well, like this is as much as Daki could have done, and I feel like there was no overreaction or big reaction. I feel like Daki ultimately understood and knew what was going to happen, and he accepted his fate and then went out fighting. But man, it is just still heartbreaking, especially for the fact that, like, you know, Devin, who has a great saber, by the way, I love her hilt. It's such a bummer. What? That it's a cool
Devin's
hilt.
lightsaber.
Oh yeah. But yeah, exactly. Why did I buy that why did I buy it yesterday? I didn't actually, but that is something I want to talk about later.
Luke, I think you were, of the 3 of us, the most meh on Daki. So what did you think about his death?
Similar to so many other times in this show, I don't know if it's because it's giving me, it's like eliciting the same reaction as parts of Andor that I expect it to be flawlessly written when it's actually just averagely written with flawless art direction. I was like expecting a dramatic turn from Daki when he kept saying like, "Oh, if we give in to our hate, we can maybe beat him." And Daki's like, "No, but maybe." Like they were kind of teasing us with that a bit, and I thought maybe they were going to go that route, and then he just gets betrayed and dies, and it was really sad. But when it happened, I was like, "Well, this is what I expected to happen 8 episodes ago." So I don't know why I'm so surprised. But like story wise, the choreography wise, the Vader element of it, that no one is able to compete with Vader no matter how many of them there are or how hard they try, that was all handled very well. Obviously, if Devin is going to be joining Maul, then someone besides Maul has to kill Daki, and like as soon as Vader shows up, it's like, yeah, Vader's got to kill Daki, but it still felt surprising.
Yeah.
It did.
Yeah, Daki, true to form, was a true Jedi. I'm going to give him a eulogy now. He was a true Jedi. He always knew what he believed. He never doubted himself. He never second-guessed it. And unfortunately, that's kind of the downfall of the Jedi. And I think that's why his fate was sealed from the very beginning. So, yeah, I think had he, been a little bit more flexible, he probably would have survived. But maybe it would have been for the worse. Maybe he would have lost to himself. But anyway.
I also loved, we haven't seen a good smaller creature versus just like a normal sized human person. It reminded me a lot of Attack of the Clones. Big surprise. No, Revenge of the Sith. Big surprise. But no, Attack of the Clones. Big surprise. Let me go back on that again.
I was gonna say, Yoda fights a large person in both of those movies, so either works.
That's true. Yeah, good point. I'm thinking Dooku specifically though, but yeah, I feel like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was fun.
So the
to see
only
again, and very scary, fucking scary.
The only character death that I didn't really have like an emotional response for the character was for Rookcast and the Mandalorian, because obviously they come out in that foggy wooded area, and they're like, all right, we're going to go scout ahead. And then you obviously hear some blaster fire or lightsaber, whatever the sound effects were, and you're like, oh, someone's out there, and you know that they are, because right before Marok said, let him know they're coming his way, right? And so right then, and luckily, as astute lore students on this podcast, we knew that it was likely going to be Darth Vader. So I wasn't surprised when we saw Darth Vader that it was him, but it was still a cool reveal because I really liked Rookcast's death, in that it was something from a literal horror film, when she came running back and then she falls over and is dragged back to her by her feet. I mean, literally something out of a horror film. So that was awesome. And just when you think they're running out of good ways to give Darth Vader an entrance, they just keep knocking it out of the park. They really just have no shortage of intros for that guy. So I liked her death in that it was a great intro for Darth Vader, and that was a great little tag at the end of episode 9. But Rookcast, I said from the very beginning that I kept thinking we were going to see more of her, and we never did. I thought that as Maul's number 2, she was going to be, a little more developed, but obviously we got a lot of other characters that we like, so I'm not necessarily complaining. It's not like I wanted to see more of Rookcast. I just thought that we would, and then we never did. So when she died, I didn't really care so much about her as much as I appreciated the Vader intro.
It's not so much that they keep finding new ways to introduce Vader. It's always the same way. He's standing in a foggy room, turns on his lightsaber, and he's lit in red and starts breathing. It's just... It works every time. Like, it never gets old. That's exactly how it happened in Rogue One and Jedi Fallen Order and this.
Kenobi, basically.
It's not exactly the same in comics because it's a different medium, but it's basically the same whenever he shows up in the mainline Star Wars comics.
But I'm an idiot, and I fell for it. When he was walking out of the fog, I was like, oh my god, this is so cool. And there's a beat, and I was like, credits. No, obviously the saber ignites to red. And I'm like, oh my god, it's even cooler. Like, I'm just like, why did that happen? Like, why? I know that's gonna happen, but why did it happen? Why was I like, that was so cool? That was the coolest entrance.
The animators are receiving notes from Dave Filoni as they're making this. He's like, okay, and now he's gonna ignite his lightsaber, and they're just like, do we really have to do this, Dave? We've done this 100 times. Do it. And it's like, all right. And it works.
It will work again. I'd like to talk more about Icarus. We kind of glossed over him. The Darth Maul's...
Flew too close to the sun.
You want to talk more about that one? I feel like we talked about it enough.
He pulled out some dingers and stabbed 3 people with it. That was awesome. He did not need to have such a gratuitous death scene. And it, like, sometimes that happens, like with the Mandalorians in that other episode when they betray Maul and fly away. And I was like, that was pointless. I don't get that. This one worked for me. The beat was just Icarus dies, and they took that and did the absolute most with it that they possibly could. He was getting shot. He tanked a ton of shots, and then decided to take 3 more people at the very end into the acid because he knew he was a goner. That was such a cool beat. I loved it.
I'm glad you're very correct in that they're pulling out all the stops for every single person's death. Because that can really go both ways, you know, because one of my biggest pet peeves when people try to complain about The Last Jedi is they're like, oh, Admiral Akbar just goes out like a bitch. They're not giving him like a huge death. And it's like, Admiral Akbar is a meme. Like, the only reason people know it is because he's a meme. And so it's like, you want them to give a huge death to Admiral Akbar, they have to give a huge death to literally everyone in Star Wars. And it's like, you just can't do that. But then you watch a show like this, and you're absolutely right. Every single death seems awesome.
They did it.
Yep.
Yeah.
From the
They did it.
Mandalorian
And I think
mercenaries to Spybot to Daki.
Luke, I agree, though, also. This is the first time that we actually felt like blaster bolts hitting somebody over and over again. And it felt like almost like an air rifle or something. Like he gets shot multiple times, and you sit with him getting shot, and it's like really dark and really depressing. And then in that moment, that's when he decides, okay, well, this is obviously it. He's going to get shot up more if he doesn't act right now. And I think that's what leads him to jumping into acid, which is a bit of an overreaction in comparison.
He had to take him out.
He's crazy. Yes, he did. But
I will say,
I don't know.
There were 2 moments in this show that kind of took me out of it from a meta point of view about whether it's too dark to be a kid's show. And one of them was this episode, but I'm blanking on it right now. The first one was when Branson Sideho was shooting all those stormtroopers, and she turned on Blake, and I was like, oh my god, are you allowed to shoot a character with a face in the face like she's about to? And then she like pulled up and shot the engine and blew all of them up. I thought that was kind of a cop out of not being able to kill a named character.
Blow someone's head off.
Right. So with such evil, I'll say. And the other one is Riley always shooting his blaster on stun. I wonder if that was a direction from Disney. Like, no, the kid can't kill people, but he can stun them. Because he's shooting back-to-back with Branson, and Branson's shooting him to kill, and Riley's shooting him to stun. And it's not like Riley is an established pacifist or something. I found that to be odd and wondered if there was an outside hand on that button.
Yes.
I feel like yes, but also the morality of it is that I feel like that's going to be a great cause down the line with Riley and Devin. When Devin obviously doesn't have those problems, presumably, when she went to go kill multiple people. And I think them having that conflict will separate them, obviously. But also I like his idea that even though Lawson has seen obviously worse things, I think he's learned from his dad and wants to not harm people. So I liked that aspect. And maybe I'm putting a bit of myself onto that character as a person who his father was a former police officer of the law. And so I like the idea that he is like doing the opposite, and also what his dad taught him in a weird way. Again, maybe I'm implying too much from my own life, but I like that aspect of Riley as well. My head canon, as Luke would say.
Goes in season 2. They left him in a great spot.
Yes, they did. And I think that's going to continue to be the dilemma for Devin, is obviously Maul is going to be drawing her to the dark side, and Riley's probably going to be drawing her back to the light. Because he does have that moral figure in his life of his father. And there was even that moment in episode 9 when Riley started to shoot the clone troopers or the stormtroopers, that his father even had that reaction to it. And I thought that was kind of a nice little beat where he was like, just kind of sad that it had come to this and that his son is having to do these things now, even if it is on stun. But I think it's kind of a character development thing. I think he's doing it on stun right now, and then maybe he'll start killing people, and then he'll kind of come back, or maybe he won't kill people, and that'll be like a thing for him. But I don't think it's necessarily like an outside, like the mouse just doesn't want kids to kill people in Star Wars necessarily, because I feel like they've already implied that Riley and Devin are the same age, and Devin's killing people with a lightsaber. So what would be the difference between that and using a blaster? I mean, it's more realistic because guns are a thing in the real world. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a story element about in I forget which episode, when Riley talks about Bodekin and Devin says like, "Oh, you and I have had very different childhoods." So there's something there that they'll pick up upon, and I'm excited to see it. But it just like felt odd that like everyone is in a fight to the death except Riley, who's just fighting to stun.
Yeah, it's true. Like when push comes to shove, just do it. Like you're going across an acid river. You have multiple sabers that are red in front of you. Like you are following a horned man. Like this is if this is the time, like that's the time to do that. Mm-hmm. Just flick that button.
Yeah, another one of my favorite shows right now is Daredevil Born Again. But every time the Punisher is in Daredevil, it's the exact same thing. You know, Daredevil doesn't kill people, but the Punisher does. And it is an interesting like moral dilemma. Because, like, the Punisher makes it very clear. He's like, I kill people, and, like, you know you benefit from that, right? Like, you say you don't want me to do this, but this is benefiting you. So, I don't know. It's interesting. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about Lawson, because, yes, that was the most notable non-death in an episode, 2 episodes, otherwise filled with very clear life-ending moments. So Matt, you already talked about it. Luke, you said you didn't think about it until now. But I agree. Leaving that open-ended would serve no purpose. I mean, it really, from a storytelling perspective, I feel like they would have shown him get shot multiple times, and he would, slowly pick himself back up and keep fighting back until they eventually kill him. Give him the Boromir treatment.
How many characters can we give Boromir treatment to in one episode, though? They already did it for Icarus.
At the very least, don't do it for Icarus. Don't waste that on Icarus. Give it to Lawson. So, yeah, I don't think he's dead. I think he's probably captured. What that will lead to in the future, I don't know. Obviously, his last words to Two Boots was to make sure that Riley makes it to his mother, who, other than marital issues, we know that they have different political views on the nature of the Empire. So it's interesting that Lawson's trying to send his kid into a Imperial.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I mean, that's just love, right? That's just trust as well. Like, out of anybody in the entire galaxy, the person that's going to care for him the most is the mom. And I think ultimately he knows that. We don't know their backstory, but presumably whatever constructs they are a part of.
On the mom too. They did leave Riley off in a very interesting place where I am actually invested in seeing where his character goes in season 2. Because, yeah, is he going to be reunited with his mom? And then what's her reaction going to be? Is that going to start to cause her to have to choose him over the Empire? Which, any reasonable mother I feel like should. But then that's going to draw into question her allegiances. She's going to have to start turning her back on the Empire. Maybe it all leads to her leaving the Empire and her and Lawson being reunited, and they're one big happy family again.
I kind of like that idea.
I think he's dead. He's probably gonna be in the fucking trailer for season 2. I mean, I just rewatched it. Yeah, he doesn't die. I can't believe that just went over my head so much.
Well, here's the thing. I do want to hedge my bet a little bit, because while I do think that he is alive, I also thought that the chief was alive too, until they came out and that one guy was like, "Don't you get it? She's dead." And then us as the dumb audience was like, "Oh, okay, thank you for telling us." No, I did not get that. So maybe there will be something similar where they're just like, beginning of season 2, episode 1, the fog will clear, and you just see his dead body there with a million holes in it, and they're like, "No, he's obviously dead," and we're just like, "Oh, right, okay, yeah, definitely thought too much into that."
That reminds me of when I was in college and I was watching Shrek with a buddy, and we finished Shrek, and the end of Shrek, and my friend just sitting there
Familiar.
and leans in. So is she like an ogre forever now? Yes. Have you not been paying attention?
That's
That's
so
literally
funny.
the entire plot.
That guy, whoever your friend was like, I like Fiona a lot as a human.
Big
But
camera.
yeah, that can't
was
be it.
I thought Branson's death was so cool. It was because I liked that his gun jammed, the big heavy blaster jammed, because it wasn't about fighting them off and having a heroic death. It was just about saving Riley and getting him away.
Yeah.
But now I think that it's more about them not having to shoot him to put him down, and that he was just a guy with a pistol and not a guy with a Gatling gun, and it's more realistic that he survives and gets captured.
And they flew away pretty quickly too. So maybe
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe
It was very
Lawson
foggy.
gave it up as soon as they got away because he's like, all right, well, that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Man,
There was.
all right. I'm a little cooler on this episode now than I thought. I thought that was such a cool death.
Well, I'm not trying to use that
Yeah.
as a reason to like
No.
it less.
If anything, it's cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that much worse, but maybe I'm just mad at myself more than the show.
No, it's better because it's gonna. I think like what Max just said too, like talking about the mom and stuff. I think that's like a character we already know that's like semi-established. That I feel like for whatever reason in a season she'll be our new favorite character. Like I feel like there's so much opportunity for the show to like then go back to and be like, oh my god, I can't believe she was doing that in season 1, which was so minimal. But I also wonder. We got a couple comments through our email and on our YouTube channel talking about how people can't see it going past multiple seasons. And I honestly I tend to agree. I think this will be a contained like 2 to 3 seasons. Like it feels like Andor in the fact that it'll be another 10 episodes. But realistically, I feel like it could use another 20 episodes, seasons 2 and 3, to really conclude everything. Because I feel like if you're killing off so many characters, I mean, all of Maul's henchmen are gone, plus Docky. You're killing off these major characters we introduced 10 episodes ago. We're kind of on the fast track, I think, here to wrap the show up a bit as well. I don't think it's gonna have the long legs like Clone Wars did, and I mean none of these shows really have massively long legs. I mean Rebels was 4 seasons. I don't see it lasting as long as that personally. And Clone Wars was a million different characters, and if you tallied up each story arc, I feel like that's realistically a season to 2 seasons maybe each character. So
What was Bad Batch?
You can't
Is that
compare it
2
to
or
Clone
3?
Wars because it's an anthology.
yeah, that's true.
But I could see it getting the Game of Thrones treatment, where it kills its main characters every 2 seasons and reintroduces new ones, and they're amazing as well, and it can keep going in perpetuity, more or less.
I don't know if that's why people watch animated though either. I don't think it will, because I like they did such a good job with this. Just do this. It needs to be Breaking Bad, right? It needs to be like, this is the story. It needs to have a guiding principle, and also the stuff with oh my god, I'm blanking on his name every time I talk. I'm blanking on his name, but I'm just gonna say Paul Bentley.
Dryden Voss.
Dryden Voss,
Paul
thank
Bettany.
you. I feel like, yeah, I was like, that's good. That's a good reference. Vision, but I feel like that stuff is just getting introduced now, and I feel like they have such a good, tight, condensed story where, weirdly, Dryden Voss might be the Gus Fring of the show a bit.
And there
That's
might be
funny. We had
two
the-
jumps in between seasons too.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, Devon's got to tattoo her body up like Darth Maul so she can turn into Darth Talon before season 2.
Do you think she's gonna
I'm
do
kidding. No, I'm kidding.
Uh-huh.
But I was just going to say, it's funny, Matt, you and I had the same discussion, but flipped when we were talking about Andor, and you were really worried about that going too long, or being... Or no, it was the same. I wanted it to be longer, and you wanted it to be shorter. Never mind.
I mean, I would
Consistent in
definitely
our
take more
viewpoints.
seasons. I just, I would love Andor to be longer, but I just know the reality of it, of actually getting more Andor is so rare that it's not worth. I'm glad they ended it. I'm glad it's 24 episodes and it's the perfect 24 episodes. Well, it's not perfect 24 episodes. It's the perfect 12 episodes and a very, very, very good 12 other episodes.
I agree.
That is wild.
What's the wild
I agree
aspect?
that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise though, because I agree that it needs to be concise thoug they do run into the risk now of this being a very well received, reviewed show that they're just like, oh, well, let's just keep cranking this out so long as it works. And it's like, no, if you have a plan for this to be a 3-4 season show, just leave it at that instead of trying to add filler in the middle to extend it.
Yeah. What do you disagree with?
Like behind the scenes, because obviously, I mean, Luke, you joked about it when they announced season 2 that Dave Filoni just finished his rewatch, and yeah, that's exactly what happened. I mean, now that we know how episode 10 ends, Dave Filoni watched that, and he was just like, all right, start making season 2. And they're like, but Dave, we haven't even shown this to anyone yet. They might not like it. And he's like, I don't give a shit. Start making it.
I like it.
Yeah.
Gotta see more.
What the fuck happens to Devin? We know what happens to Maul. Write the next season.
Max, what part of Andor did you not agree with that we were just talking about?
That season 2 was very good and not as good as 1.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
We've had that discussion. That's
yeah,
not news for any of our
it's amazing.
fans.
I just like season 1. Yeah, I just like season 1 better. But having said that, oh my god, it's so good. Speaking
of Devin going forward, the lightsaber element. I can't believe I hadn't considered that. She gets Maul's Phantom Menace lightsaber, and she's gonna keep it because by the time of Rebels, and I'd have to go check Solo because you do see his lightsaber. I'm pretty sure by the time of Solo as well. He doesn't have the Phantom Menace half anymore. He has the half he has now and an Inquisitor half.
I didn't even think about
now
that.
Clear to me that it's because Devin takes this one and keeps it.
Interesting.
2 other random notes that I had that I wanted to talk about was 1, Darth Vader punching his way through a brick wall.
Oh my god, jump scare. What the fuck?
Another gasp.
I mean, half of Vader's scenes were jump scares, yeah.
Yeah, nuts. Also, just like so brutal. Like this is the closest I feel like he's been to a cartoon character. Well, that's not fair. I meant a video game character.
And the fact that he never has one line of dialogue.
Yes, that's what I mean. He feels like a playable character in Battlefront. He's just punching through shit, killing people.
On easy difficulty, yes.
Yeah, I liked both of those things. This show is a 10 out of 10. I think this is absolutely perfect.
Truly.
I'm excited to see more. Do you guys have any other high-level thoughts, any predictions for Season 2? We're going to see Crimson Dawn. Do you think we're going to see Kira in Season 2?
Before we get to predictions, I have a few more notes on these episodes. At one point, Daki refers to Maul as Shadow Lord. Always love it when the name of the show is in the show, just in general.
Yes.
But that also got me thinking, at the time, how semantically similar Shadow Lord and Dark Lord are. But in the context of this universe, they couldn't be more different. And like, if he called him a Dark Lord, I'd have been like, no, he's not a Dark Lord. But he called him a Shadow Lord, and I was like, yeah, he is a Shadow Lord. And then
That's funny.
The next episode is called The Dark Lord, and it just eclipses the whole series being about Shadow Lord. He is not a Dark Lord. It is the semantics of it tickles me, but I love that beat, that theme.
Jafiel.
Yeah, that's really good. I'm looking at the poster now, and I'm realizing that Vario lives. Of all the people to make it through this season.
You just realized that?
Yeah.
I'm really rooting for Vario out of respect for Matt. I was very excited to see him live.
Yeah, how do you didn't think about how he lived, Maxwell?
I just looked at the poster, and I'm just like, oh, all these people are dead. Oh, Vario made it.
Max likes neither Vario nor Matt. Matt likes Vario, and I like Matt, but Max doesn't care about Vario anyway.
I don't like where this is headed.
Vader pulled the old hold your breath to sneak up on him move. That's a classic. Yeah. Then he had to catch his breath after. I like the consistency. And then one of the most. It's not emotionally resonant in the way of like most or maybe any of the character deaths, but those are character deaths. But excluding character deaths, I'd say the most emotionally resonant moment for me was when when Maul is like holding Riley back and she shouts out, "I will kill them."
Yeah.
That's her dark side moment. And
Holding
I went
Devin
back
back?
and
Did you say
rewatched it just
Riley?
now. And what's that?
Did you say Riley holding Devin back?
Oh,
I'm sorry, I meant Maul holding Devin
Yes.
back. If I did say that, thank you.
we're getting
but-
too excited.
That's her dark side moment. And I went back and rewatched it just now on
Yeah.
mute, obviously, because we're recording our podcast, and the subtitles even specifically say "voice distorting, I will kill them." Like she really gets guttural with it, and that is a very raw moment for her. And then Maul responds like, I'll train you, and we will have our revenge," which I feel like has to be in every Maul show or appearance of Maul. He has to say at some point, "Then I'll have
That's
my
his entire
revenge."
Character motive.
Then it'll happen.
That's all he's ever doing.
I know, it's so sad, isn't it? It just doesn't happen.
Maybe, yep.
Do you have the episode pulled up real quick? Can you see if Daki says no when he dies? Because I was watching it with the subtitles too, and it wasn't really clear who was saying no. Obviously, Devin was yelling no when she saw Daki die. But it also looked like Daki was
Oh.
looking at Devin, and he also said no, as if he knew that this was going to be her dark side moment, and that he was
Interesting.
upset that it happened this way.
I don't think that
I'll
he
pull it
did
up right
say
now. It'll take me a
anything.
Might have
moment,
been.
though.
I might have been overlooking that, but I also thought that was the most emotional moment, was just Maul giving that little nudge to Daki.
Yeah.
Because it was like the perfect blend, like you said, Luke. Like, obviously, Maul can't be the one to do it because he's trying to keep Devin in his good graces, become his apprentice.
Mm-hmm.
But then Darth Vader is the one who pulls the trigger, but he, basically hands him the gun. It was the perfect, yeah. And it was just a good reminder that, yes, I'm rooting for Darth Maul. I like Darth Maul, but he is evil.
Yes. You're like, actually, I don't like Darth Maul. And yeah, but they did, what a great job in the fact that, like, again, Maul is this legacy character that we're built into like, even though he's bad, and yet we fall into, and we feel sympathetic, and then all of a sudden we're pulled back into it, and we're pulled back into it by these characters that we just met. And we've known Darth Maul for 27 years, basically, right? Give or take. And yet, for some reason, Daki, who we've known for an hour, all screen time, we're like, fuck, why is that guy that we like always betraying us? And it's like, oh yeah, because that's his sole purpose.
We like Daki because he's a Jedi. That's the thing. Like I said before, he is true to form. He is a classic Jedi. And
But
we're
that's
drawn
the
to
thing.
that
I have
because
such
we like the
problem with
so
Jedi.
anytime there's a Daki character, we're already rooting for them because we always want to root for the Jedi. But the Jedi are always destined to fail. Like that is their lot in life, their curse, right? And so you always, every time there's a Jedi, you root for them, but it's not going to work out for them.
Isn't it funny? Because I
Go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna say it's funny because like I feel like I like the Jedi. I don't like the Jedi most of the time though. That's the thing, right? Like I like.
Oh, yes, you
Which is-
do.
I don't know if I do. I disagree with most of everything they stand for. Right, and then and the way that they live and the way they cut themselves off, and I think that's why I like the humanity of it. And so, but I like the idea of trying to fix the Jedi. I think almost more, which is why I like Luke Skywalker, where he's just like, yeah, I'll go into this, but I'm just gonna be able to do my own thing. Which is why I like Leia for her walking away, and why I like Kanan as well, and why I like Ahsoka. And it's not because they're Jedi, but it's because they're fighting against the order of what the Jedi stand for.
Correct. And that's why they're successful.
And what they can be. I think that's what I like, is that what the Jedi can be, and I think those types of characters.
This all comes back to The Last Jedi and why The Last Jedi is actually the best Star Wars movie. Because Luke Skywalker figured this out. That's literally the plot of The Last Jedi. The Jedi are always doomed to fail, and it has to be different.
Yeah, you don't have to convince me. I mean, I disagree, but you have to convince me.
Well, I gotta convince you a little
I keep
bit. then.
rewatching it. It's very hard to tell. I'm gonna mute you guys for a moment here and listen to it again. Vader is breathing at the same time that Daki is exhaling and might be saying no. I'm gonna give it one more. Give me a sec.
All right, well, we'll give you a moment.
This is
Well,
good
I guess while he's doing
podcasting.
that, I didn't ask you, Matt. Matt, do you have any other high-level notes about these last two episodes?
I don't think he
No,
says
just
no,
besides-
but it's really, I wouldn't be mad if people did. I think it's just like, I'm honestly basing it more off of lip reading than the audio because it's loud and Vader.
Do you
And
have
it
the
would be
subtitles
a low
on?
whisper, and there's music and Vader's breathing. But Devin definitely
yeah.
yells no. It helps.
Yes,
But the
that
subtitles aren't
is good,
clear
yeah.
either. It just says no on screen long enough.
Yeah, like it doesn't pull up a new subtitle for Daki saying no.
Okay. I feel like it would, right? That's how subtitles work.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
So, okay, I feel like that's the answer there. But still, I'm going to keep that as my headcanon, though. Daki knew in that moment, because he at least saw Devin, that this was going to be her dark side moment.
Rewatching that scene also, I wanted to bring up the note that Daki does get a little shoulder chip off on Vader during the 1v1 portion, and it's like, is that even helping? Now he's just more angry. Like, that's when I knew he was going to die. You can't get a hit off and live.
He done messed up.
No one's ever dented that armor and lived to tell the tale. I also like when Darth Vader was closing in on Daki, how he was just doing that one-handed power swing down on him, just like wearing him down. That's also good classic Vader.
I know.
And mirroring of Luke Skywalker in Episode 6 when he started doing the same.
It's like
It's simply too good.
in 2005 when Battlefront 2 came out and they made the decision to have Vader's character exclusively walk. Super unfun to play as 8-year-old Luke. Didn't care for it, but man, they have committed to that understanding of the character for 20 plus years. I mean, 40 plus years, damn near 50 plus years. And they are just crushing it. Like, people love to complain about Disney era Star Wars, this and that, Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, like all the legacy characters. No one has ever said anything badly about any piece of Vader content in the last 10 years. They have exceeded every single time.
Do you think that's something that Dave Filoni is holding in his back pocket? You know, because like obviously there was that scene that we talked about of the Inquisitors running out of that hallway and how terrifying that was. If when he's giving these animators their notes and he's saying, okay, now turn a lightsaber red, they're just like, we've done this 100 times. And he's like, yep, but it works every time. And in the back of his head, he's like, I got something real special planned. Wait until they see Vader run for the first time. If that was Vader coming out of that tunnel at you at full speed, I would have shit my pants.
That is so true. He does have an ace up his sleeve for that he can pull out at any time.
The next time we anticipate Vader's arrival on screen, we'll just have that in the back of our head, like, oh, but he might run at us. All right. Any other notes, Matt? I kind of cut you off earlier when you were saying, did you have anything else you want to talk about?
No, I don't have it. Yesterday, just for transparency for the viewer, was May the 4th. Little known holiday around these parts of the podcast. But I just want to talk about the stuff. Yeah. I was just going to talk about the drops and stuff too, but I don't know if this is an appropriate time to talk about it. We can also maybe do that another time as well. Because it feels like we're winding down the episode. Basically, I just have fucking problems with it. Everything is too expensive and not cool looking. There's so many other places now that can do things.
Oh, well, if you're going to whine about it, then save it for next week.
I was about to say,
all right,
I'm going to argue
save
with this a lot if you're going to say that it didn't look cool. But we'll talk about it another time.
Yeah. There's so many better shops you can spend your money at, I think, when you're looking at specifically shirts and merch and stuff like that. Obviously, we're not talking helmets and sabers, but even then, it's crazy.
Oh, Mr. Support Local Business over here. Big businesses are struggling too, Matthew.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, what time did you guys line up? I always get in line a half hour earlier, and you said things were already sold out. I was like, Maxwell, I got in line 30 minutes before it opened, and I was 1720 in line.
I couldn't get in line. I was busy.
Lack of commitment.
That lawyer life.
Can't
exactly.
be mad. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Anyway, does anyone have any Force for Thought to leave us with? I do. So I was watching Attack of the Clones, and I was thinking about that line where they're following Count Dooku, and Anakin says, shoot him down, and the clone captain says, we're all out of rockets, sir. And I feel like it's been pretty well discussed online how it's like this lat gunship has like 20 different armaments on board, that if you're all out of rockets, you still have like your blasters, your lasers, the little ball turrets. Like, surely you have something else on board that you can throw at this guy. But if truly all of that was gone, I'm also thinking, how fast does a speeder go relative to a ship that can travel in space? Does the lat gunship have light speed capabilities, and does that mean that it should be faster than this? Because if so, just run him over. You know, it's like the equivalent of like a car versus a motorcycle. It's like just run into him. Like you'll kill him that way.
Are cars faster than motorcycles?
I guess it would depend
depends
on the
the
motorcycle
car.
and the car. But that's my point, though. I think the lat gunship would be faster than a ground speeder.
Yeah, I would assume it would be as well, for sure. I mean,
If a lat gunship could achieve light speed, and presumably that speeder, which can't get more than a couple feet off the ground, can't.
I don't think light speed has anything to do with it, because it's my understanding that the hyperdrive is completely independent from the sublight engines. But I do think that the lat gunship's sublight engines would be faster than the speeder's sublight engine. So your point still stands. But maybe that wouldn't work for another reason. I'm not coming up with one. Yeah. Run into him. Just give him a little bump.
Drive him off the
Speeders are
road.
so dangerous. It's a motorcycle. Like if you just like nudge him a little bit, like a high-speed speeder collision, like especially a man of Dooku's age, yeah, that's good night.
I'm just now realizing, too, that you never really see anyone wear a helmet in a speeder, which seems like the appropriate time to wear a helmet. You see them wear them in ships all the time, like the X-Wing helmets and everything like that.
They wear helmets on Endor.
Oh, okay. That's fair. That's responsible. That's not necessarily for
trying to
speeders,
think.
though. They were wearing those
But
helmets
they
before they
don't-
got to the speeders.
that's what I was
They
gonna
were.
say. Is that
That's
that they
just
just
their-
perchance had them?
It's just
we
their
should start
military
doing-
uniform.
Same
we
with the
should wear
stormtroopers and
helmets
scout
everywhere
troopers.
we go. Yeah, everywhere, just in case we get on a bike, any sort of bike.
But think about how funny of a comedic beat that would be if in episode 2, Anakin hops in that yellow speeder in the very beginning of the movie, and before he zooms off, he just picks up a helmet right next to him and just clicks it on real quick. Safety first.
That's funny that you say that, Matt. I always, with having young kids and all the concerns around safety, which I don't mean to disparage. I'm all for safety and safe sleep and seatbelts and everything, but the thought has occurred to me, like, we just keep inching forward along this alleged road to a perfect safety that'll never exist. Like, at what point will they say, like, oh, you should wear a helmet in the car because it's safer? Like, yes, it is safer, but we don't do that. So when will our sensibilities change that, like, you didn't used to wear a helmet in the car? What if you got in an accident and hit your head? It's like, yeah, we just run that risk.
Yeah. I don't
Woke
want to
America,
risk
you
our
know?
audience by having this turn into an NFL discussion, but I do feel like that's basically exactly the discussion that they're having in the NFL about the, what are they called? The safety caps.
Yeah,
But I support the
What are
safety
they- what are
caps
they
a lot
called?
more
Why
because
can't I think of those names?
the
Guardian caps.
yeah, Guardian cap. The difference between wearing a helmet in the car and not wearing a helmet in the car is large. The difference between wearing a helmet in football and wearing a larger helmet in football is small. Like, they're making such a big deal that their head looks a little bit bigger. Dude, you're already wearing a helmet. Just deal with it. If it's safer, you should absolutely do it. And also, it's much safer as opposed to a little bit safer in the car.
Yeah, unless they were trying to make arguments about like aerodynamics or something like that. But then it's like everyone's wearing different helmets anyway. Because I always
Yep.
think about that in terms of like baseball. It really sticks out to me how a lot of professional baseball players are wearing like metal chains around their neck, like as they're batting. And then you have other athletes like
so many.
Olympic swimmers who, you know, shave every inch of their body because that little bit of hair provides a little bit less drag in the water, and like that little tiny bit gives them just the tiniest bit of, you know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
about that a lot.
I was thinking about that a lot with the Winter Olympics, because with the Summer Olympics, when you're like moving through water, I get having to minimize water resistance, but when you're moving through air, like, air resistance is a lot smaller. If you're min-maxing the air resistance for your sport, you're simply going too fast. like speed skating and whatever one's
You're
the
simply going too
the
fast.
big jump one. Like, if you're going that fast, you need to be in a vessel or in water. It's just
In a
not
vessel.
safe.
That's funny. All right. Well, anyway, that started to get off track from the actual Force for Thought. Let us know if you think that Anakin and Obi-Wan should have just rammed into Dooku's speeder at the end of Attack of the Clones. And let us know what you think of Maul Shadow Lord, whether you liked it or loved it. And
Those are the options.
those
Would
are
it
the
have
only
been
options I'm going to
terribly
give you.
cowardice for Anakin and Obi-Wan to make the call to drop them off and all the other people in the ship and have just the pilot go on kind of a kamikaze mission? It's not really the Jedi way, I reckon, but boy, the cost to benefit there of one clone to Count Dooku definitely is in their favor.
That basically happened already, though, because they were also getting chased. They got dropped off the platform, and the second they got dropped off, the ship blew up. And that probably wouldn't have happened if they didn't have to drop them off. Like, Obi-Wan and Anakin basically just sent everyone else on that ship to their death sentence by making them come to a complete stop so that they can get off.
Ah, that's interesting. Ooh, yeah.
That's
another good point.
That's a whole other Force
All right,
for
there you
thought.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, save that for next
You're
week.
2 and 1. All
Two
right.
and one.
Let us know what you think. You can reach out to us across social media at Force for Thought, or you could email us at forceforthought@gmail.com.
See you, Sammy.